Good morning. Welcome back to Product Coffee. It's good to be back in the studio here with my buddy Devin. And so this is, I found a great art. I didn't find it actually. Allison, our Product Coffee librarian, found it. She gets full credit for it, but found a great article about how to build a career that thrives alongside AI. And it's by Ines Lee. We're going to get into that in just a few minutes. But so this week we're going to explore how AI isn't just changing the tools we use, but the very fabric of how we work and the work that we actually have to do. And as argues that the real skill for thriving alongside AI is learning where humans add irreplaceable value. And she says credentials won't save us, the relevance actually will. We'll unpack how product managers can stay relevant by combining depth, breadth, and humanity in your craft. And we're going to get really deep into that here for the next few minutes. So first of all, we need to make some introductions here and welcome our first cup panel. We've got, first up, he is our own personal Jesus of product management. He's back to save your backlog, redeem your roadmap. He's the head of product at Lazo. It's Alex Sherman. Welcome, Alex.
Hello, great to be here.
And up next is the tool taming guru of the product world. Say hi to Matt Green. He's co-host of the Product for Product podcast. Hey, Matt.
Good morning,
Welcome.
everybody.
And we were gonna have somebody. We have a special guest ringer today from the depths of city. It is our experience lead. What's that title there, Rob? Rob Leary.
Morning, everybody.
And then we've got this guy from hypersonic jets to high-speed AI. He's just like Elon Musk, but brown and not nearly as rich. Welcome back, Nandu Shah, president of the Atlanta CTO Club.
Speechless. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So, in a world where AI can do so much of our work, how do product professionals keep themselves and their teams essential? I just want to start with you, Alex. You took a look at the article, and you've been around helping product managers grow their careers for over a decade. What were your kind of takeaways and thoughts on what you saw here?
Yeah, some of the things that jumped out to me immediately was the concept of bringing T-shaped skills into this as we look at AI. And I love that. Anytime I work with teams or individuals, I always do the T-shape, right? So I'm a big fan of that because it really is when we look at a team that solves problems together cross-functionally, you need those T-shaped skills where you can have a breadth of skills that really help the team out across, but you need to be really good in terms of a particular expertise. And for a PM, we're going to be helping ruthlessly prioritize in some way and really understanding the insights and turning those insights into something that we can solve for. So that really resonated with me. I think the other piece that really stood out to me was the human piece. And I love to see that. Maybe that gives me a glimpse of hope a little bit, but it is getting pretty good. I have observed that. But I think that's crucial. We still have to deal with other humans. We have to understand them. We have to be empathetic, not only for the people that we're solving for, but the people we work with. And I think that really resonated with me.
Yep. Cool. Thanks. So let's switch over to Matt. Matt, you've been in the thick of it, thinking about the tools that product managers use to be successful. And how's that playing into your perception of what's going on in our career?
Yeah, tools are critical. And when you're developing that T framework, having tools in place that make you a better product manager are critical. But I go back to also being, the emotional, the intelligence, the soft skills. So you can have an application that like Jira, you can have an application like Miro or stuff like that, but you need to ultimately have those other skills that help build out that T. And you can have a deep expertise in areas like you see a lot of the vibe coding, AI prototyping these days, but you still need to have a breadth of other skills. And so where I've been focusing on, and I use the T in my, career development myself, I've gone from a deep expertise in finance and accounting to data analytics. And now I focused on emotional intelligence, communication, go-to-market strategy, business value, those types of things, because where I see it being valuable for career development is in not getting automated out by AI. So when you're building out this T and shaping it, and it's an evolution. So you really have to think about where can I deliver the human value, the human context in this T-shaped framework for career development. So that's what stood out to me in this article. and around scarcity. As you build this out, think about where the human element is in all of this, because you can use AI as a partner to build out this framework, but you ultimately need to find out where AI can't solve problems. And right now, it can't solve emotional intelligence.
And that seems to be one of the ones that's farthest off. I love that you pointed out the soft skills statement. One of the things that she said in the article that I really liked is that soft skills are anything but that. And I hear a lot of people kind of turn their nose up a little bit at too many soft skills conversations. But what I'm hearing both from you and Alex is that those soft skills that have always been the elusive piece for a lot of budding product managers and business leaders in general are becoming increasingly important, even more so than they have been in the past.
Totally. Yeah. Because the AI doesn't know that. AI is going to know certain things, and it doesn't know the context of your business culture. It doesn't know the context of your team culture. It doesn't know the conversations you're having around the water cooler. So that's where that stuff's critical these days.
Yep. All right. Rob, let's jump over to you. Surprise, we got a ringer in the house.
I like the article, and I agree with a lot of what Alex and Matt are saying. It's always interesting to me when I read these articles when the tone of it starts something to the effect of, I, for one, welcome our new AI overlords, which is really, a lot of this. This is the how do I stay ahead of AI to be able to do these things? These are the skills I need to stay ahead. This you're setting a specific tone by writing an article this way. As it's mentioned in the article, T-shaped skills have been around for 35 years. So this is not a new concept. I think what is interesting is how deep and how wide does the T have to go? And again, I agree with Matt. And this is also, again, nothing new for people as they're looking at their career, whether it's in product management or elsewhere. You need to be able to have those core skills to be able to do the job. And then you need those people skills, right? As you move up in your career, you're going to be dealing more and more and more with people, not I'm running, a data analysis and saying this is, what we need to build. You have to be able to explain it in a way that people understand, or you have to be able to, as I will sometimes do, like, do I have to stop the car and put on my disappointed dad hat and explain to people in a way that they will understand? And you have to know when to do that. So these sorts of skills are very critical for you to be able to, make any sort of progress. It's not just what it is that I could do. Because again, agreeing with the general principle of the article, great. It normally took me 3 days to do this. Now it took me 4 hours, right? Now I've got a baseline because the AI that I use is a really great intern right now. And then I can just fill in the gaps.
And the intern is getting better, but I was playing with the new Sonnet 4.5 yesterday, as a matter of fact, and was really, really excited about the evolution there in Claude. Even using that intern metaphor, it was doing things in a smarter is probably not the right word, but it was doing things in a more complete, useful way to help me frame out what I was working on. But it was my partner, not my delegate. So let's jump over to Nandu, who's been really digging in deep on a lot of the AI front and thinking about how it affects careers and the work that we do. Nandu, welcome back. What was your take, and what were your takeaways and advice from this?
I think this article is wrong about AI and right about everything else it says.
Oh,
And furthermore, if it's right about AI, then everything everyone has said here so far is wrong.
okay.
And let me tell you why. If so, a little bit of historical perspective, just for which I think you knew I would bring, just for context, right? Big technology transformations don't eliminate work; they transform it. The Industrial Revolution. My favorite example, if you look at movies from the 1960s through the 1980s that show big corporations, there are always secretarial pools, right? Dozens of, I think, always women sitting there waiting to be assigned some typing duties. Those don't exist anymore. But those people didn't suddenly become unemployed or unemployable. right? Work changed. It didn't go away. Also, some decades ago in the last century, as a budding young programmer, I was told, as were all of my classmates, that it's going to be important in the future for everybody to learn how to code because computers are the future, and if you don't know how to code, then you'll never survive in the future workplace. That didn't come out to be true because the technology evolved to meet humans where we are, right? I think similar things I think we can expect similar things. But most importantly, the reason I say if this article is right about AI and then everyone's wrong, including me, by the way, including the thing I haven't said, which is that humans matter. If AI really is progressing in the direction and to the degree that we are expecting, then at some point AI is just interacting with more AI, not humans. And then we're out of the loop and it doesn't matter. AI art is a really good example of this, right? We can debate a lot about whether machines can make art, but it really what matters is who is judging the art? Who is the art for? If the consumer, if the intended consumer, if the intended audience is a human, then a machine may never make art because our own standards are evolving in ways that the machine can't predict. But if the machine is making art for other machines, then it doesn't matter what any of us say. Now, the second part of what I said, or maybe the first part, the second part, everything else about this article is right. This is just good career advice. It's especially future-proofing yourself is as a journey, not a destination. You constantly you have to keep changing in the workplace, at home, in your life. Otherwise, what are we doing?
One of the things that really struck me in what you're talking about, Nandu, is Inez's picture that unlike is we're taught as product managers, we think about jobs to be done and thinking about the whole experience and what every customer is trying to accomplish in their larger outcome, not just their smaller outcome. She took a completely different, and she's not a product person, so that's okay, but she took a completely different perspective. She said it's not about the jobs, it's all about the tasks and understanding all the little tasks that are required to get the job done and understanding where you are on the spectrum of relevance on those tasks. Are they human tasks? What can be automated away? Because every single task is going to change in some way. Your job is to figure out which ones are only achievable by you or require you as a complementary resource. One of the great examples that she gave was skills that complement AI, and this is even becoming outdated. Prompting an LLM well. How long do we think we're going to actually have to be good at prompting an LLM, especially as business users, versus what we're seeing now where they're getting better at a prompt that helps to re-engineer your prompt. Now we're talking about context engineering and thinking about the whole context of your entire chat and conversation and workflow and not overloading the system and making sure it's got the right information to draw from. It is a constant evolution, but it's moving so stinking fast. What do you do about that part?
So my first of all, my counterpoint to the things you just said of how long are we going to have to be learning to prompt engineer, for example, it's hard to say right now because there was a time, and it's been decades now, when how to query a web search engine was a skill that people had to learn. And
Yeah.
it's still like no one's born knowing how to do that. It is still relevant today, right? Learning to find things you want. And that itself was a transformation of learning the Dewey Decimal System and going to a card catalog versus asking Google, right? And all the various things you can do with that. And adjacent to that, search engine optimization is as relevant as it has been for the history of that particular discipline, right? So I think it's important not to over-index on how much of these technologies are relevant. I think the focusing on the task and how to do it well with what's available to me today is, I think, the right answer.
And I just want to note a couple of the points you both had is something that's been getting under my skin recently is this AI product manager stuff. Hey, you can make $1 million by working for OpenAI or Meta or Google. That is a lot of like you see in the product management influencer space. But who's to say like an AI PM won't be replaced someday? Like won't AI like self-replicate at some point and then you're almost working yourself out of a job in some ways. So I know that's the hot thing these days, but long term, I don't know if that you want that to be your vertical arm of your T, your deep expertise. Kind of going back to again the soft stuff that AI can't figure out these days.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point, and I love just drawing that back to the picture that Nandu painted earlier on about the secretarial pool. It was there; it's not there anymore. That work is still getting done, and the people who were doing that work are doing different things now. The tasks have moved up the value chain, and so we're doing more valuable tasks as the technology takes away some of the lower value, more mundane tasks. We got a few people in the audience. I want to give some people some opportunity to jump in and throw in their 2 cents worth as well. So if you have a thought on crafting your career and building your career so that AI is working alongside you and so that you're continuing to create value in your own career space as we evolve to greater and greater usage of AI, would love you to pop your hand up, turn your camera on. Love to invite you to the forefront. I know we've got Jerry on the line here. Jerry, welcome back. I know you spent all weekend volunteering at the Greek Festival. So as a product coach, you juggle Euros and Jira
And dishwashing.
and dishwashing. Okay.
Yeah, I did a fair bit of dishwashing over the weekend as well.
Good for you.
But I didn't spend the whole weekend there. My liver needed a break, so I took Sunday off.
So did you have some takeaways and thoughts on the article by Ines?
Yeah, it was a good article. I think my thoughts align with most of what everyone else had already said. Right? It really is at the core just good career advice. The one thing that I kind of struggled with was what she called level 3, I believe. She had like 3 tiers there, and the last one I felt was the most important, which were the soft skills, especially as product managers. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, you wouldn't put those as level 1 because you need that foundation. You need the foundation first, and they wouldn't really be level 2. So it made sense at level 3, but they are, of them all, I think, the most critical.
Yeah, she called them cross-functional human skills.
Yeah.
And I would argue, I am wondering, storytelling is one that she repeated over and over again. Alex, is storytelling even a soft skill, or is it a hard skill?
I would just argue it's a hard skill.
Really?
I mean, and I think I would flip what she's got. I would actually inverse it, and the foundation of this is the storytelling piece, because if we can understand the people and the problem and tell the story around it, I think that makes it easier to piece these tools together, whether or not they're the scarcity or the complementary pieces of it. So I know I resonate more with that. I think I would actually flip it after hearing you talk about it, Jerry.
Yeah.
And AI could actually help with that storytelling as well. So that's a part where it can come in.
Yeah, and I think it'll help inform and prioritize what you need to build in terms of your skills for those other layers.
I'd never thought of it as a hard skill. It's a difficult skill.
I mean, technically it's a soft skill in the sense of like whoever that person was in the military that defined it that way, 60, 70 years ago.
Fair.
But
storytelling does not require bullets.
Well, I guess when I think of storytelling, I mean, I think there's some really good storytellers out there. Like I've worked with people who could really like pour passion and build a great story around it. I always feel like it's like, man, that just feels like it takes me a little extra oomph to get to the story. But we'll think about that. Thanks, Alex. You gave me something to noodle on all day.
I don't know if y'all saw Nandu's hot take on storytelling. Pop that on the screen for us there, Dev. The storytelling is context engineering for humans.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a t-shirt. That is a t-shirt.
We've got 2 t-shirts.
2 or 3 t-shirts out of this call today.
Yeah.
it's so good.
We've already got the templates built up in Printful, so we can have those t-shirts shipping out this afternoon.
I just
What's the other
love
t-shirt?
Nandu's comment. The things I haven't said are wrong.
I said that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, all right. Hey, for everybody who's still on the call, we got a few minutes left here before we get started with the main program. And what we love to have people do is turn on your camera, introduce yourself. This is not a one-way webinar or show that you're part. You're part of the studio audience. You're part of the meetup here. It's not even an audience. This is a virtual meetup for product people. We would love to welcome you to turn on your camera, introduce yourself. Tell everybody what has your attention right now. Who are you? What are you doing right now? What's your current role or your most recent role? If you're looking for an opportunity, well, we want to hear about that, see how we can help you. If you've got a challenge in product management you're trying to solve, we want to hear about those as well. I got a lot of people here in the room with the cameras off. Would love to bring you up. I see a lot of people back with us, and I know it's early there, especially in the Central Time Zone. We're so glad you could be here with us. If you're out there on YouTube, we'd love you to join us in Zoom. You can do that by following us at productcopy.com and registering for these events, coming and join us in the Zoom chat as well so you can be a part of the meetup itself. DJ, how are you? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Right.
Let's get into today's session. Now, this is intended to be interactive. We're going to have a lot of chat going back and forth. I want to hear from you as you have your own insights to share and thoughts. We're going to launch a poll here in just a moment as well, but we're going to talk today about the Zen of product balance. And I know sometimes that term gets overused and misused, and I am going to abuse the heck out of that term today as well. So I'm not even going to lie to you. We're just going to abuse it. But before we get into talking about product balance and the solutions of creating balance specifically between the need to innovate and the need to, am I sharing? Yeah, good, I'm sharing. So between the need to innovate and take advantage of these new technologies that we're talking about today, but also to answer to your customers' immediate demands. We all know what those backlogs look like. This feature request, this bug report. How do we strike the right balance? Before we get into solutions to that, let's just talk a little bit more about the problem itself. Specifically, I love this quote from Einstein. It's very grounding. So when I started working on this discussion, it reminded me that before we got into solutions, we should do just that. Let's just make sure we really have our heads around the problem. That's a famous. I know Nandu recognized that photo. It's a pretty famous portrait of Einstein. This is a pretty good one too. The original is a photograph where he just got silly, but I found this photo of some graffiti somewhere in Eastern Europe and just thought it was really, really cool. So, all right. But like everything in life, when it comes to balancing stated demands and innovation, there's a cost to getting it wrong. Today we're going to look at a couple of examples where major powerhouses got it wrong and paid pretty much with their corporate life. They fell from the high wire and have never been the same since. This is one of everybody's favorite cautionary tales, but if you're younger than the age of 30, you may not remember the BlackBerry, but BlackBerry was once the leader in the smartphone market. They were especially popular among business users, but they were really slow to innovate and adapt to the changing demands of the broader consumer market. While they focused on their existing customer base's needs, focused on the existing customer, specifically things like physical keyboards and email functionality, they completely missed the shift toward touchscreens, application ecosystems, and multimedia capabilities. I even remember I was at a wireless technology forum event in Atlanta in 2007 with an executive from BlackBerry. He was asked about the iPhone. This is right after the iPhone launched. He literally sneered and said, "Oh, it's a nice little toy." Now, the consequence of that was Apple's iPhone and Android devices both quickly took over the entire market. BlackBerry's market share plummeted, and they struggled to regain their footing, eventually exiting the smartphone manufacturing business altogether. So the lesson learned there is that ignoring innovation can lead to obsolescence. And I would argue that we've seen some of that recently as well, especially around the AI front. We've seen a lot of companies very quickly say, yeah, we're going to let that settle down a little bit before we start figuring out how to invest. And I've spoken to some business leaders and some organizational leaders who have said, yes, our strategy is to wait. It's interesting, it's great, but these technologies really need to settle in. We've got a lot of risk concerns that we want to manage too, so we need to wait a little while before we start really experimenting, exploring, and learning how we're going to take advantage of these technologies going forward. As a result, many of their employees have been left behind and have struggled to catch back up. Now, that is a correctable situation, but ignoring that innovation has really put a lot of pain on a lot of companies. Jerry says he actively fought touchscreens, as he recall, or BlackBerry did.
Yeah, not me. I adopted fast.
Yeah, I was an early adopter too. And then let's look at Yahoo. At one point, they ruled the internet. Anybody, show of hands, virtual hands, or just put a me in the chat if you still have a yahoo.com email address hanging around somewhere that you could access. Oh, I'm not the only one.
There.
Am I the only one? Okay, I'm a little
I got
embarrassed.
it over when they got hacked.
I still have one
Yeah,
for fantasy
maybe.
football.
there you go, fantasy football. All right. So they were literally known as the front page of the internet. An internet pioneer. They had a vast range of services. They had a war chest that CFOs and CEOs across the entire world envied. And boy, did they use those resources. What happened, though, is they frequently shifted their focus, trying to innovate in many areas simultaneously. There was a guy named Brad Garlinghouse who was an executive at Yahoo, and he wrote what became known as, and this was probably around 2007, 2008 as well, the Peanut Butter Manifesto.